Okay, good morning, everyone. It's Christmas festivities time, and we're working through, trauma. We've all been harassed and abused by people, and this goes for gang stalkers and TIs alike. I'm in a Christmas festive mood today, so I'm talking to the gang stalkers like you're real people. And really you are. I mean, I can certainly argue as your defense lawyer for many of you, saying you're being human trafficked too, and you get a get out of jail free card. Not so easy to do that when the first person you ever fell in love with was Chelsea. And as some of you know, I made a perverted joke to my cousin, a cruel, more of a violent joke. It was more inferred that it was perverted when she was 4 and I was 13. And the gang stalkers strangled me for that, and they sexually assaulted me for that. They had someone older than me who was much bigger, double my size, strangle me, and then they had someone who was in his 30s sexually assault me, which really scared me. So that led to a lot of trauma, where I was actually scared of children for a long time. And I felt actually disgusting, like I was a bad, perverted credent. And then when I was 20, I fell in love with Chelsea, who's a gang stalker, who was gang stalking me the whole time. And not only was she a gang stalker, because we can say gang stalkers get the get out of jail free card because they're being human trafficked too, so would you really hate them? You would have to say, no, I don't hate them. Okay, you'd have to say, I give them the innocent pass. But some go above and beyond. Some, it's not to do with gang stalking, it's just that they're sick people, in which case you'd also have to give them a pass. You'd also have to say, well, you're sick because you're traumatized. I mean, in the Christmas spirit, I'm not saying all the time you walk around like Jesus Christ, saying, it's okay, I just turn the other cheek. And that's actually condescending when you turn the other cheek, because you're saying you're so beneath my dignity that you can't even affect me. I don't hold you responsible because you're such a fucking insignificant worm that someone like you couldn't affect me ever. It's actually a subtle way of humiliating them by giving them a pass. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm in the Christmas spirit. I actually feel loving right now. And I just had an issue where I didn't talk to Marina last night. I told her yesterday, the day before yesterday, that yesterday I would be available all day on my iPad, because sometimes I'm bad at responding to texts because I'm scared, really, because I have traumatic issues. And I explained this to her. And then I said, and by the way, when you explain your own issues as an apology, it's not really an apology. It's more about preserving your self-image. And I know that because ChatGPT told me that. And I'm sorry. I'm just telling you this as the explanation that I got traumatized by Chelsea. She was the first person I fell in love with. And she, for example, when I was outside in Toronto at 10 p.m. I lived with her and I said, can you let me in? I forgot my key at Travis's house, who lives all the way across the city. Toronto is like New York, just so you know. So imagine being stuck outside in New York City. You wouldn't want to be stuck outside in the fucking winter. She says, I can't let you in because I already am in bed. So she leaves me outside, and only by fucking luck, or that I had a good friend, Travis, and his mom, who drove across the city to give me the key. And that's just an example of how abusive Chelsea was. She was extremely abusive, like really fucking abusive. But she was the first person who I respected, who loved me. She was the first person I loved who loved me. So when I was about 20, I felt like I wasn't a dirty pervert anymore. Because obviously when someone loves you, you think, well, finally I'm important. But if they're just the only person you can get, who cares anyway? They're a retard anyway. They're just a fuckhole anyway. Just dump your nuts in them, and whether they like you or not, it doesn't validate you. You just want to empty your nuts in a sleeve. But Chelsea, she was really my first choice. I had searched for Chelsea since I was 13 and I got traumatized. I had started searching very intentionally and deliberately to find who is the most beautiful person on earth. And I found Chelsea. And we so-called fell in love. I sometimes think we really did. I sometimes think she really did love me. Other times I think she was just playing me the whole time. Or using me, which ChatGPT says it's actually very sick when someone does that. Hold on, let me just check to make sure. I hope this doesn't fuck the audio up. Okay. I had to check to make sure that the camera was even plugged into the microphone. ChatGPT says it's using someone if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you keep someone around and stringing them along. Chelsea did that to me for years, and I allowed it, and it really traumatized me. But one of the things that happened with Chelsea was I had these issues where I was terrified of children after that issue when I was 13 because of my comment. And, you know, you might be wondering, what was the comment? Well, I don't want to say, but I'll tell you. I said they were telling her to get changed because it was dinner time and she had like dirt on her clothes. And I said, when I was alone with her, after the adults had left the room, I was in her sister's room playing guitar just to get away from the noise in the family Christmas party, somewhere around there. And so they're telling her to get changed. And then once the adults left, it was just her and I. And I said, yeah, take off your clothes or you'll go to sleep and you'll never wake up. And I think I said, she at least told on me, and this is what she said I said, and I may have said it. And I said, and if you ever tell anyone, you'll never wake up or something. I think that's the time I said, you'll never wake up. Yeah, take off your clothes. But, you know, I always was incredulous that I had said that second part. But it could have been a joke because they were telling her to get changed. And, you know, it was like I was in the room too. And I don't know if I was thinking, I had seen them naked in the bathtub. It wasn't like a perverted thing. Like, I don't know if that's illegal to say, but it wasn't perverted. It was like, I don't know, like it wasn't a sexual thing. But the whole idea of saying you have to do it or else you're never going to wake up. You know, that was like, you know, they inferred that as perverted. But I was saying it's perverted to tell someone to get changed when I'm in the room, I guess, or just to tell someone to get changed. That's perverted, like forcing someone to get changed, like saying you must get changed. Now, it would have been inferred that had she actually gotten changed, she would have went into the bathroom or something. She wouldn't have just changed around me. And I think I was younger when I saw them in the bathtub too, like they were like babies or something, like where it's like not the same thing, you know, like you see someone changing their baby. And so anyways, they basically strangled me for that, and then they sexually assaulted me. The gang stalkers did that. And so I was terrified of children after that. And I lied about it, and I said I never said any of that. And then they offered me to babysit, and I was like, hell no, you know, I'll never babysit because I didn't trust them. And I think I was right to not trust them because it wasn't a perverted intent. Like, to me, it was a joke, and I never really liked her, that cousin. You know, I thought she was kind of always a bitch. And so I was just kind of being mean and cruel. And, you know, my uncle said, afterwards, he said, if anyone ever raped my family, I'd go kill them. And I thought he was talking directly to me. And, you know, I just felt like very, very fucked up about it. And then another time I was going to the bathroom and my one cousin started following me. And my aunt was like, don't, like, stay here, as if I would have, like, let her come in the bathroom with me. I felt like really super fucked up about it. And so I had like a phobia of children, actually. And I felt like very disgusting and dirty because I had been strangled and sexually assaulted for that. And subliminally, subconsciously, I knew that that was the cause and effect, but I had always repressed that. And I thought, no, those events were just random. And so when Chelsea and I fell in love, apparently, Chelsea was the first person who I loved, who I thought, she's different. She's not like my family. She's not like the people who have hurt me. She's actually a real person. She's someone who her opinion really matters. And if she likes me, that means I'm actually good for real. And so it took away those feelings of panic around children, but it didn't entirely take it away. And then when I was 28, she talked to me again, and then we really fell in love more, or at least so I thought. And I was able then to watch The Sound of Music and realize The Sound of Music was my favorite movie. Whereas before I couldn't do it because the captain has all those kids. He has like 10 kids or something. And whenever I would see a kid on a movie, it would actually give me a panic attack. So I couldn't watch movies with kids in it. And so I of course, couldn't tell anyone about this. Obviously, I would never go to a therapy session or tell anyone, tell my best friends, I would never tell anyone about this. But I felt like validated by Chelsea's love. So then when I'm in love with her and also traumatized by her, also scared of her, why is she talking to me? I feel like she's here to kill me. I felt subliminally also that she's very dangerous emotionally to me, that she's there to hurt me. I said, I think you're here to kill me. She said, no, that's paranoia. And I thought she was there literally to kill me, to try to like put me in prison or something. Because I had dragged her to bed once. I had dragged her to bed 3 times, actually. Dragged her to the couch once, dragged her to the bed twice. I didn't try to fuck her or anything. I just wanted her to lay beside me. So, I was like, come on, come on. And she's like, no. I'm like, come on, like pulling her. So I was like telling her I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for dragging you into the bed. I wasn't really sorry because she was a fucking bitch so many times. She teased me. But I loved her so much. I said, I think you're here to put me in prison. So I'm going to give you exactly what you want and give you evidence that I did this thing that I think you're here to punish me for. And I'm going to tell you over text so you can use this against me in court. Because I love you so much. I like to show you how much I trust you, that I would like, this is how I felt at the time. I don't know if it's true, that I would die for you. I think you're a bad person and I would still die for you. And I still love you. That's how I felt. So I said, here's the evidence that you want. You're trying to get evidence against me, I think, to ruin my life, to put me in prison or something. And so, because she said, don't worry if you can't remember me. And that's the thing that feminists say when they go back for some guy who apparently abused them. If you're a feminist, you're an abuser of men. But anyways, and she's a feminist. She fucking terrified me. She's like, I'm not here to kill you. That's paranoia. And so, but really, she was there to kill me, but it was in a different way. She was there to say, I'm so great. I'm Chelsea, and you're just Z-Bubs. And I can't ever be with you. Doesn't it hurt? Let me see how much it hurts. I want to see how much it hurts. Now, could I guess? Chelsea's one of the most beautiful people of all time. Probably most people who know her believe that she's the most beautiful person they've ever seen in their life. She's extremely, stunningly, crazy gorgeous, like stunningly rare. And I could almost bet that she's married or she has a boyfriend, that he's a fucking loser, that he's a worm dick loser, and he's rich as fuck. I could almost guarantee that. I could almost fucking guarantee that. And she doesn't have a good love life. And I think I'm a pretty hot guy, and she would like to be with me, but she can't because she's such a tryhard. She's so superficial that someone like me, just a poor guy, she could never be with me. And so she was coming back to say, hey, I really like you, but I just can't do it because you're just a loser and I'm Chelsea. But I want to also see you squirm for me. I also want to see how much I'm important as measured by the look that you have for me in your eyes. And she was very, very mean to me. She was killing me in that sense. And I said to Marina, that's why I can't message you, because Chelsea fucked me up. Chelsea was my first love, and she totally fucked me up. And now I have trauma issues. You're great, Marina. And now I can't even message you because I'm scared, because the last time I loved someone, I got so fucking traumatized by it. What were we talking about? Well, I told that to Marina. I said, oh yeah, no. When I was 28, so Chelsea comes back. Then I see The Sound of Music, and I can watch The Sound of Music. I realize it's my favorite movie, and I have this moment where it's just private in myself. I would never tell anyone this, but it's one of the most significant moments of my life. I can see a child on TV and I don't have a panic attack. Now, that's not something I could say because that sounds so weird. You know, guess what? I just saw a child without having a panic attack. Sounds pretty fucking weird. Lots of undertones there. Lots of inferences people will make. I was like, holy shit, I'm healed. Like, holy fuck. Like, I've been as traumatized as you would be being strangled and sexually assaulted as the same event. Imagine someone sexually assaults you and strangles you when you're 13. Strangles you a lot. Not just a little bit, but a lot, where it's actually really scary. Where you actually have to do a move that might save your life. You have to pretend like you're dead. Because you think maybe the person thinks I'm dead. Maybe they don't actually want to kill me. And if I keep squirming, maybe they actually might kill me because it's so extreme. They're so fucking debased. This person's so fucking debased that they might actually kill me. And I have to actually pretend I'm dead while being suffocated, which makes me want to squirm. And for years after, I would lay in the bathtub and I'd hold my breath for like a minute and a half. And I would even get out of the bathtub and run around and stuff while I was naked in the hallway at like a minute 50 without having oxygenated my blood. It's easy to hold your breath for 3 or 4 minutes. All you have to do is go, do that like 100 times, breathe in huge breaths 100 times. You fill your blood with oxygen. Then you can hold your breath for 3 or 4 minutes easily. But I didn't know that when I was having these baths. I didn't even know why I was doing this. Why am I so obsessed with holding my breath for as long as I can? And I know that deep sea divers can hold their breath for minutes. I had no idea they had techniques for it. So I'm just trying it as a layman, having no idea what I'm doing. It's dangerous. I'm in weird pain, and I'm trying to gain control over this feeling strangled sensation that was fucking traumatizing me. You know, it's the same. I was stand up fucking a girl once, and it came out, and it bent my dick. It bent my boner. It bruised my boner. Scared the fuck out of me. For a decade, like for at least like a decade after, I had squeamish feelings about even the memory of it. So I watched The Sound of Music. I realized The Sound of Music is my favorite movie. I can actually watch the movie then and process it. And of course, I thought I was the captain and Chelsea was Maria. And it was like amazing. Like I felt like I was healed, basically. But then I never realized what was the damage being done on top of the existing damage. I cured the existing damage, but what about the damage that Chelsea was doing right there? She was my favorite person. I loved her. She was my first choice. She was who I wanted. And she was there teasing me, basically. And then you might say, well, is Chelsea really the one you wanted and you just never got her? And even though she's a bad person, you still loved her and it's just that she never liked you? You could argue that, but let me just tell you this. I also sabotaged it with her. Once I felt like she loved me, then I felt like I wasn't chasing the validation anymore. And I started saying things that would make her break up with me because I thought, you're actually fucked up. You're actually not as cool as I thought you were. Your opinion actually doesn't matter to me. That's what I really thought. I thought you're super hot. But, you know, and she had wide shoulders too. And she had, her hips to waist ratio wasn't that great. She had a great face and a hot body. You know, if you saw her body, you'd say, oh, she's a really hot girl. If you see her face, you'd say she's extraordinarily rare. And, but overall, you know, you'd say she's really hot. But her personality, I was like, I'm not actually impressed. And I think it's me actually breaking up with you because you're mean. And so I don't necessarily feel like she's the one who got away because that's what they say. That's how most people are, apparently. My dad says that. He says the first one gets away and then the second one you marry because you realize the first one got away. So you marry the runner-up. And that's how most marriages work because you never want to let it was so painful when the first one got away. So the second one, you're like, I'm not going to let that happen. And you marry them. So most people marry the runner-up. And I don't want to feel like Marina is the runner-up. And I don't think I do feel like that. I don't feel like that. Because Marina's super hot too. Marina's extreme rare hot too. I told Marina that if the world wasn't fucked up, I would have a baby with you. I think that your overall personality and hotness is enough that I would have a baby with you. That's fucking, if the world wasn't fucked up, which it is. And she doesn't want to have a baby because she has Hashimoto's and she doesn't want to pass on her health issues to a baby. And she doesn't want to make a TI baby either because it would be unfair to a baby to make them a TI. Now, I thought, she doesn't know this, but if you eat properly, if you eat only what your biology is intended for, which if you have long intestines and one stomach, that means you eat fruit. That means you're a fruit eater. And if you clean your body out, it will actually cure her diseases. Diseases don't even exist. And then her health issues will go away. And I thought, what if her health issues go away and then she wants to have a baby? And then I shouldn't even tell her about how to eat properly, because what if she cures her health issues and then she says, I want to have a baby, and if you don't have one with me, I'm going to dump you. Could you imagine that? And then I'm keeping it secret. I'm like, yeah, I guess it's different for some people. Maybe you have to eat not fruit. Maybe your biology is different. But anyways, so I tell Marina that I didn't message you yesterday after a certain point because I was half true. The day before yesterday, I said, I'll have my iPad on me all day. I'll respond to you within a few seconds to a couple hours or a few hours or something. I'm paranoid sometimes. A few seconds, a few hours, a few means 3, a few seconds, like 33, it's occultist. Okay. That's not my fault, to avoid certain numbers. It's kind of triggering to me to say those numbers, but those numbers aren't really owned by the occultists. It's in general, there's rules of 3. Like this goes beyond the occult. So, beginning, middle, and end. In math, I asked ChatGPT, I said, what's with the significance of the number 3? And it gave me a whole bunch of answers, like in storytelling, in math, in physics, in different ways. It gave me examples I can't remember. But anyways, so I tell Marina, yeah, I got traumatized by Chelsea and now it was scary for me to talk to you. So I'm sorry for being a liar. I'll reframe my promise that I'll do my best to talk to you on unrestricted access, that you have unrestricted access. Whenever you talk to me, I'll just talk to you. And I said, I'm sorry for being a liar. I was a scared liar. And to make it up to you, I will do a naked runway walk. And I put on the song, I'm so sexy. I'm so sexy for my cat. So sexy for my cat. What you think about that? And I put the camera there and I do naked runway walk back and forth. Let her see my body too. I said, maybe I'm too skinny. This will show you that how skinny I am. I still weigh over 170 pounds, but it will show you how skinny I am. And you can see if you love me, and I'll also do a nice runway walk for you. And then I did the runway walk while I'm wearing my foreskin restoration device. And then I said, I'll put on a winter coat and snowsuit and do a snowsuit. And with this Tilly hat, I'll do and I'm bragging. Yeah, it's a Tilly hat. Yeah, I'm bragging. So what? Yeah, it's an expensive Tilly hat. So what? It's my mom's. Okay, I'm just joking. I'm not really mad. I put on my hat, but I like it. It reminds me like I'm a Mennonite. And so I put on the coat and the snow pants and I do another model walk and I send it to her as the apology gift. And I'm already a little bit paranoid because in that song, I'm Too Sexy, at the end, he says, I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. And I think, oh, great. If I send that song, it's going to make her leave me because in the song it says, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. And then I go, okay, that's paranoid and that's fucking too eccentric. You don't have to be that eccentric, okay? You can use that song and that's fine. That's the right song to use for the model walk. So, I try to do my hair upright because I was left a lot on my back as a baby. So it kind of made a flat spot on the back of my head. So I like to have my hair kind of puffed up back there. I wanted to go to Korea and get a cranioplasty. I really literally looked into that. And that would have been a mistake. But I'm glad I didn't do that. But so I do this model walk. I send her a video. Here's your apology video. Here's your apology gift. Okay. Doing a naked runway model walk for you. This is an exercise in trust. You can see my skinny legs, like Pierce Brosnan. You never see Pierce Brosnan in shorts because he has skinny noodle legs. I say, here you go. You can see my whole body. You can see my butt. You can see me. She's already seen it, but you could see me doing a model walk. Get a more full picture. Right away, she says, this made my day. She gives the video a heart. I was like so happy. I said, thank you so much. And then I hearted the video by accident too. I was like, oh God, this looks narcissistic. I was just trying to full screen it to watch it again from her perspective, which is one of the best things ever. To imagine I'm her watching me. I watched it laughing, thinking what she must think. And then I was thinking, it's funny how when I was watching it from her perspective, I mean, sometimes when you watch a movie with someone, it's your favorite movie, you've seen it 100 times, but when you watch it with someone who's just seeing it for the first time, it's more exciting for you because you're feeling it vicariously through them too. So I watched it again, imagining what it must have been like for her, and I was just having the time of my life. Like, I was so happy. And before I did it, I was like, is this really the right thing to do? Like, to do a naked runway walk? Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely the right thing to do. So I fucking made up with Marina. Isn't that amazing? And you know what? I've saved like $70 to put towards the fund. If she's visiting in February, or I could visit her, but she said she'd still like to visit me, then I'd have to save up about $100 per month to pay for half her trip, which her trip might be $500 or $600 Canadian. And so I'd have to save like $300 within a few months. And so I already have $70 saved up. And I was going to put that money towards drugs, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't, I wasn't even thinking about saving up. I was thinking, if I do acid, the last times I did acid, I was water fasting. And I did acid on the 8th day and on the 4th day of a water fast. And on the 4th day, I almost gave up my fast the day after on the come down, because you have a big psychological come down on acid. It's really sneaky on acid because it's just a tab. It's just the micrograms, or it's just such a small amount, 100 UG. And it's not like a hangover, but psychologically you have a big come down. And so on day 9, I was coming down on my water fast from acid, and I quit my water fast, and it felt so fucked up. And I thought, when I got this check in the mail from the government, thank you, government, really happy about that. Okay, let me encourage you to be cool when you're cool. Now, why do I need the money from the government in the first place? Because they exploit me on one hand and then they help me on the other to make me dependent and humiliate me? Yeah, maybe. But I'm still thankful for the help, What else can I do? Am I just going to say, fuck you, give me the money and fuck you? No, I'm not going to do that. I am thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that. And so I got $70. That's enough to get 4 tabs of acid. Or if it's on sale, 8. And a lot of the money goes towards the shipping. It's $25 shipping. So I thought, don't get it, because if I get it, I'll be getting it by Wednesday. So that way I can go to my family Christmas party on acid while I'm water fasting. Don't do that, because even though that'll be amazing, you're probably going to quit your fast the day after. It's going to fuck with you. It's going to fuck with your emotions, and you're more likely to quit your water fast after. So don't do it. Don't even risk it. And why? Because if you quit your water fast, you're going to hate yourself. But also because if you stay on your water fast, you're doing your best to be the best man you can be, which a lot of that is for Marina. Because don't you want to have a house with Marina? Don't you want to be more smart? Well, to be more smart, you have to clean out the old waste in your small intestines, don't you? To be more physically attractive, to get more buff and to work out and to be healthy, you have to finish your water fast. That's the scientific method. So wouldn't you want to be the best man you can be? Yeah. So don't do acid, because it's going to fuck up your relationship with Marina very indirectly. Even though you're just doing acid once in a while, It's not about that you might act a fool, but you will act a fool in the way that you won't keep up your goals. You're not going to say things you regret. You're just going to do things you regret or not do things that you regret not doing. So don't do it. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine. You're right. No, I'll go to family party sober. No, I'll do it for real. I'll literally spend time with family sober. Okay, I'm just joking here. Family are cool. Okay, that's just a joke. But, you can see the point. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's getting turkey and mashed potatoes. I'm going to be sitting there with a water bottle. It might be nice to have a little bit of compensation to be high on acid, to feel like I'm the coolest person, to feel like I'm the guiding light, to feel like I'm the enlightened one and I'm the person who everyone looks to as the guiding light in the family. It might be cool to have that consolation. It might be cool to impress them and go, look how fucking brilliant I am on acid. Don't you look at me with awe? Aren't you surprised by how great I am? Do you even realize? I want you to have the moment where you realize, holy shit, I never knew how great you are. I never even saw who you are, but now I see it. But and meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, but I'm only cheating on acid. I only got to this level on acid. So I say, no, not going to do the acid. Then I realize afterwards, I already have $70 saved up. Now I have $70 to put towards the fund. Hell yeah. That's actually the real problem would have been, do I even take it seriously that Marina's going to visit? Do I even have the guts? Sometimes I don't have the guts to even text her. Is this some kind of repressed fear that I don't even have the guts to do the things that are actually going to lead to me saying, okay, here's my half of the money for our visit. Now let's do this. That would have been the real problem, wasting that money on drugs. Would I rather have Marina visit or have drugs? I'd rather have Marina visit. The whole point of drugs in the first place is because I'm lonely drugs are the compensation for not having a girlfriend. So fuck the drugs. But then my friend, he's telling me, get me photo Bo. He's in the mental ward. And he had an altercation with someone. There's 3 parts of the mental ward. The main part where everyone lives and you have a roommate. Then if you have an issue, which he did, and the previous time someone punched him in the head, apparently, punched him in the back of the head, a really fucked up guy, super fucked up. I can vouch that this guy was super fucked up. I went in the room with the piano in it. I started playing. He told me, don't play the piano. It was scary. I was like, okay, yes, sir. And then my friend was on the phone or something, and this guy, I forget what he was doing, but this guy threatened him. He's like, get off the phone or I'll punch you. And this guy was seriously fucked up. He may have been a gang stalker because they do have those kind of gang stalkers. But this time when he's in the mental ward, he had an altercation with someone. He didn't say what it was. So he got moved into the other mental ward in the hospital. The one where they make you wear a blue jumpsuit so that if you run away and escape, that they'll see you and they'll catch you right away. Now, my grandma escaped from the mental ward. My grandma was in the mental ward. They took her clothes because she kept escaping. So she escaped naked. And to give you an idea of how extreme my grandma is, she stuck a knitting needle through her hand, through the palm of her hand. She stuck one right through her hand. She's dedicated. And but anyways, so he's in this other ward. It's called Pika. And he's in a room now where he has to sleep with a camera and a bedpan. So if he has to pee, there's a camera watching him pee. And if he has to shit, he has to shit in a bedpan. And this room stinks like shit. We had this nice nurse accompany us in there, a guy. My friend said, I like you. And I already knew this guy has a soul. This is a nice nurse. My friend shows us his room, his cell. It's a bed with a camera and a little bedpan. And it stinks like shit. And it's way too hot in there. So hot that you'd question, why is it so hot in here? It's fucking like a sauna in here, as if they're torturing him. And I say, it stinks like shit in here, and I can't go in here, and I go out. The nurse escorts us out, And he has a look of embarrassment on his face. Like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm so sorry. Like, if he has to shit, what does he do? Does he go out? Does he ask to go to the bathroom to use the toilet? He just pees in the bedpan? I mean, if that's not a humiliation ritual, what is? They have 24-hour nurses. Why would you make someone visibly pee on a camera, visibly defecate and pee on a camera? And it didn't even strike me how fucking traumatizing it is. It took me a fucking few days. And within those few days, I cried at one point. I don't really know why I cried, but it may have been for him. He had some issue with someone in the other ward. He didn't really say what it was. He said, the innocent person gets punished, the guilty person goes free. I said, I think you're targeted by the secret police, by the gang stalkers. He said, that's crazy. He said, the system is fucked, but I don't know what you're talking about, the secret police gang stalking. I don't know what that is. That's nuts. I said, okay, well, I think you're targeted, but whatever. He doesn't even believe in gang stalking. So he sends a message to my mom. He says, visit Pho. And Pho means Pho de Beau. It's a restaurant here in Kitchener. Pho de Beau is probably I'd probably go to Ben Tan for my fried rice. I wasn't impressed with Pho de Beau the last time. Pho de Beau is the best place if you want to get fried rice and tofu as a vegan. Yeah, Pho de Beau, fucking amazing. Oh my God, they give you soy sauce. I love the woman who works there. She's really, she knows me. She's like, oh, hi. She brings me tea. She does it to everyone, but she's just a friendly person. She knows my order, basically. My friend says, and we've been to this restaurant together. He says, bring me meat, bring me Pho de Beau. But the text he sends is kind of seemingly rude. The text just says to my mom, visit soon, Pho, which means visit and bring Pho de Beau. And so would you feel like if I said to you, like I say I want Mr. Noodles from you? I said this to my mom. I said, that's kind of rude. Like it would be like if I wanted Mr. Noodles and I just said to you, noodles. Like, it's I don't know if it's too forward, if it's too condescending, if it's like, like, would you let someone talk to you like that? Like, hey, you, noodles, now, noodles. Like whoever talks like that. But at the same time, I felt also, after I gave it a minute to see how he's being so traumatized in there. And it's like he's talking without formality, because he could have said the same thing in a not rude way. And I'm not saying he was rude, actually. I don't really think he was rude. Think about it like this. He says, it's really fucked up in here. And if you say no, I'll totally understand. But if you could you get me Pho de Beau? Because it's so fucked up in here. I need some comfort food. And I can pay you back. And even if you don't want to, like, lend me the money, in a sense, to buy the food for me, and I'll pay you back. Even if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But if you could please bring me Pho de Beau, I would really appreciate it. Okay, supposing he says it like that, like that's a polite way of saying it. He's still saying ultimately the same thing. He's just dropping the formality. He's just saying, visit now, Pho de Beau, meat. Lots of meat, extra meat, Coca-Cola, Pho de Beau, rice, visit now. He's saying the same thing. He's just not doing the politeness. Now, do you know what politeness is? Politeness comes from police, policy. When you shake someone's hand, you're shaking with your right hand. Why? Because your right hand is your dominant hand. So why do you shake with your right hand? It's to show that you don't have a weapon in your dominant hand. The whole formality of politeness is a hypocrisy to begin with. I told that to Yasmina once at the CAMH, this place where I used to visit, volunteer for this, CAMH is like a mental health place. I told her, a handshake is really an insult to the person. It's really saying, hey, I'm not going to attack you. There's no weapon in my hand. She said, okay, she said, Zach, let's do a bump fist. Zach. As if that's even different, So I thought, this is a sign of trust from my friend. That he's dropping the formalities. He's saying, I understand that you know that I'm not actually talking down to you. I'm just dropping the formality. I just don't need to do all this polite shit because I'm being tortured in here. I'm being humiliated. I'm being punished under the guise of therapy. They're saying that this is therapy, but clearly this is punishment. And I'm so sick and tired of anything formal and anything fake that I'm not even going to be polite anymore, because I understand that you understand the subtext that I don't think I'm better than you, and I'm not talking down to you, and I'm not bossing you around. And so he called this morning, and I said, I can't really afford Photobo, but I can make you butter chicken. And frankly, I want to cook. I actually really like cooking. I can make you butter chicken with chickpeas, which is vegan. I'll give you spinach in it. I'll make it really buttery. I'll make naan bread, and I'll make rice. And I'll phone ahead to the nurse to make sure I can bring it in, which we brought him food 2 times, so I think they would. And he said, bring me meat. He said, bring me Photobo. I need Photobo. I'll pay you back. I said, oh, great. I don't know about this. You'll pay, well, how long are you going to be in the hospital for? And, I just don't want to do that. It's just, I don't like lending people money. It's not something I like. I don't like borrowing money either. I borrow money from my mom. But even so, it's around Christmas time. I don't know if I'm going to need the money. But really, I don't know what it was. I do trust he'd pay me back, but I might not see him for a long time. And I thought, I don't want to do Photobo. I'd rather do some cooking. I want to make butter chicken. I can't bring butter chicken to the family party on Christmas Day. I wanted to. But my cousin, the one who I talked about, the traumatized one, she also is a really good cook. She's really good. She's the second, if I'm not the second best cook in the family, it's her. The best cook in the family is my mom's boyfriend, who is a professional chef. He used to be a professional chef. And so I wanted to impress everyone. We have someone who's Indian in our family. My uncle's wife is Indian. And her mom used to make me dal all the time. And their son is half Indian. And so I wanted to show them too, look, I can make butter chicken. I'm like fucking really good at making butter chicken. My secret is I add half a pound of butter in it. In one jar of butter chicken, like 398 milliliters, I add half pound of butter. And then in the naan bread, I add the rest of the butter, like, 1/4 of a pound of butter. And I make the naan bread really salty, really fatty, and I fry it, and it's like, it's fucking really good. And the rice, I know how to cook the rice, which isn't a big deal, but, some people don't know how to cook rice. If you take it out at the right moment, it's better than if you take it out one moment away from the right moment. And it's better than if you take it out one moment away from the right moment, away from the right moment. If you know the exact right moment, you can get the texture of the rice just perfect. And I know how to do that. Plus the naan bread, plus my buttery butter chicken, which does come from a jar, but I know how to doctor it up. I wanted to impress them, but Jody had the same idea. And she said, or apparently it was told to her that, my cousin, it was told to her that, don't bring any food. We're just having turkey. We're having turkey and potatoes. And, we don't want 100 people in the kitchen and warming up the food that they bring, or, we're having a plain Christmas dinner and we're cooking it. Turkey and fucking mashed potatoes and gravy and vegetables, Brussels sprouts and carrots. That's what they'll have. I know that's what they'll have. Now, they said they're not doing Christmas this year, not doing gifts. And we already have a gift from them. I have a gift from them over here. I can guess it's a blanket. It's from Karen and Ted and Helen, but not from my other 2 cousins. Wonder why. But anyways, so, I'm excited to go to family Christmas party. But in terms of gaslighting people, Zeph brought up this point in his podcast recently on the Zeph Report. He said when they gaslight and gang stalk the whole population with something like executing Charlie Kirk, they're traumatizing the public and gaslighting them about it so that they disassociate people. And the MK Ultra gaslighting, gang stalking methodology of totalitarianism is basically figuring out how much do you have to gaslight someone and traumatize them before they disassociate from who they are, at which point you can give them a new program Not that they were programmed before they were deprogrammed, before they were spontaneous. How much do you have to harm them and gaslight them? Like, for example, in Canada, we had, I'm sure you've heard this even if you don't live in Canada, a Nazi. And it was Parliament or Congress, all the important politicians gave a standing applause to a Nazi who was 98 years old. And the Nazi's going, yeah, he's crying, he's so happy. And then they take it back. They go, oops, sorry, we didn't realize he was a Nazi. And they fire the person who is the patsy, who they said it was just this one person's fault, but they all knew. Now that's gaslighting and traumatizing, demoralizing. They're saying, yeah, we worship Nazis, but then they're gaslighting. And the worship Nazis part is the traumatizing part. They're saying, yeah, we worship Nazi. Alexa, light on.
Okay.
Alexa, light bright.
Okay.
Alexa, second light white.
Okay.
So they say, yeah, we're, maybe it's too dark in here. So they say, yeah, we're worshiping Nazis. That's pretty traumatizing for you, isn't it? And then they gaslight. They say, oops, we didn't mean to. It was an accident. And now, what I just saw on the Jimmy Dore show, they said that in Canada, there was just a new memorial built with the names of a bunch of Nazis on it. And again, they're doing the same thing. The first time was the litmus test. How are the public going to react? Now they're doing it again. Let's traumatize them again. See if they react as strongly again. And if they don't, then we can just leave the names up. We can gaslight them and traumatize them even more until they're dissociated, until they don't have a soul anymore. And they did that with the CIA. They're still doing it, but in a specific context, which is horrible. This is real and documented, that they tied people to a chair, put a blindfold on them and headphones, and had all their physiological needs met. Presumably they would shit and piss in the chair. Probably a catheter or something. They weren't allowed to leave the chair. They're stuck in a chair for a month or two with headphones on them, just playing the same word over and over. And how long do you have to do that to someone until you reduce them to an infant? And they found out. It's like a month or two. And then afterwards, and you might think, I'm strong, I'll just hold out. But then they'll just keep you in the chair. And then the victims of this would call the torturers their parents. They would think their torturers were their parents. And the CIA, the FBI, CSIS in Canada, the intel agencies, and their employees, the Freemasons, the police, the community watch, the neighborhood watch, and the gang stalkers, their job basically is to figure out how much do you have to traumatize someone while gaslighting them before you make them a retard, and then you can weaponize them. You can, for a psychopath to weaponize a retard, you first have to find a retard to do it. Well, if humans are smart, if we all are geniuses, as they say, everyone has their genius. Now, I think I'm a genius, but I don't think I have a high IQ. I have friends with super high IQs. And they like me. And I think the reason is because I'm a genius as well. But I have a genius on a different scale. I mean, could you have a musical genius like a Beethoven? Or like the person who wrote The Lord of the Rings, a really good writer? Could you imagine that the person who writes the best book isn't the person with the highest IQ? But on some level that the IQ test doesn't measure, they do have genius, but it's just not measured by the IQ test. You can train for a high IQ too. Anyway, so I forget what I'm talking about, but I think that about wraps everything up. My friend hasn't really broke. I don't think they dissociated him. I think if you can't dissociate someone, they just get tortured more. I don't think I've dissociated either. I think I've come close to it. And I think I may have dissociated at some times. But I eventually regained my soul. And a lot of that comes through love. A lot of it was just from loving Chelsea and being loved by Chelsea. And Osho says that you have to choose. In the very end, you don't have to choose. But for the journey before the end, before your enlightenment, your path is going to be either love or meditation. And you have to know, if you're someone who can't be alone, your path might be love. I don't know if that proves it definitively. But if you need people to be happy, your path is love. This is just a generalization. There might be exceptions to this. If you can be happy and blissful being alone, your path is meditation. If you can, I forget if I said it wrong, but if you need people to be happy with, your path is love. And so I think my path was love. And even though Chelsea didn't love me, I don't think Chelsea really loved me. Or if she did, I don't think I loved her. It still gave me the ticket out of my dissociation. Because love is what you give, not what you get. So when you love someone who doesn't love you back, you're actually the lucky one. And I told her that. I said, I'm the lucky one here. You're the one telling me that you can't be with me or something like that. I mean, she never said that. I said, do you love me? She said, I can't know that. I don't know what that means. She called me babe. She called me love. She asked me once if I wanted to have sex. Well, apparently there was this enlightened person, I forget who it was, but he had many masters and teachers who were not enlightened. And he didn't know that because he wasn't enlightened either, but he thought they were enlightened. And he kept progressing in his meditation. And finally, all of his teachers and masters said, I actually can't teach you. Like, you're actually at my level now. And, you know, I'm not enlightened. And I actually can't help you. I'm sorry. But they didn't say it like that. They just said, like, you know, just like, there's nothing more I can do for you. And then that guy went out and actually became enlightened. I feel like Chelsea helped me along in that sense. That she didn't actually have the love to give to me. Like, she wasn't really the right person for me. But because I believed that she was, I actually got the gift of it. Like, when you trust someone, even if they're betraying you, you get the value of being a trusting person. You get to feel innocent and loving, and that's more valuable than whatever they're cheating you out of. That's like the thing that makes you not naive. It makes you trusting. The difference between naivety and trust is that when someone betrays you while you're naive, Osho says, that you're outraged and you're hurt. And when you're trusting and someone betrays you, it makes you more trusting because you can clearly see you are so fucked up. I reached off the cliff for you to catch me. And you didn't. And you knew the whole time you let me do that. It will be you who burns. You will live in regret for that. Not me. I will fall off the cliff and I will get better. You will live with it. The abuser is less likely to get over it than the abused. And so I had fucking massive growth in my personality from that. But then there was also trauma, like, man, it fucked me up too. And now it's carrying over even into my relationship with Marina. But I'm cognitive of it now. And I think my path is meditation. No, sorry. I think my path is love. Because I'm always trying to meditate and I can't ever do it. I don't feel right until I'm right with Marina, really. And before Marina, I also felt right. You might say, well, you were happy with it when before you had Marina, you were happy. And now all of a sudden to be happy, you have to be right with Marina. She just sent me an image. So doesn't that mean your path is love and not meditation? Or doesn't it mean it's meditation and not love? Because before you were talking to her, you were also happy. Well, remember, before I was talking to her, I was also making YouTube videos, which vicariously does meet my love needs. So I think my path might be love. Sometimes I think I'm actually enlightened and my path is both. Because once you become enlightened, then your love and your meditation combine, but not before. Now, Osho has also said, when you meditate, you have to love yourself. And that, I don't know what the fuck that means. He's talking about people who aren't enlightened. He said, he's contradicted himself so many times. He says he has to do that, so you can't make an ideology out of him. I've also read from him, you have two wings. One is love, one is meditation. And in order to meditate, you have to love yourself. And really, with Chelsea, that was one of the things that I learned, how to love myself. I literally didn't know. I actually literally didn't know. I was telling someone once, now that I'm able to give myself love, it's so amazing, and I actually never knew how to do this. And it's so simple. It's just like you're filled up with life and love. It's like there's no way of explaining it. You can't boil it down any further. You can't make an instruction manual how to love yourself. Once you realize, you just go, oh, that's what it is. And so sometimes with Marina, I'm so happy, I'm so in love. And I remember, just give this to yourself. Just love yourself. And it's not taboo. No, sorry. It's not cliche. I don't mean it's not taboo. It's not cliche. It's not fake. You're actually doing it. You can really love yourself, okay? And I go, yeah, that's right. That person who I was telling that to, now I can actually love myself. She used to give me crystals. And there was a pink one that she gave me. Like obsidian, like different colors of crystal. And there was one that reminded me of love. And I would just look at this, and it was my love meditation. And I anchored it, that whenever I would hold this crystal, I would say, now I'm feeling love. And it would just make me feel overwhelming love. I felt like it was magic. I couldn't do it without the crystal. Whenever I would have the crystal, I'd go, oh, there it is. Somehow it anchored back to when I was with Chelsea, or to when I discovered the love, basically, when I was with Chelsea. Chelsea was the catalyst. It really happened with me. And they say that whenever you become enlightened, you blame the person who you're with. Something happens. Some event happens with someone in your life, and you part of you that's repressed becomes unrepressed, and you think it's them. You think it's your beloved who made you enlightened. And you want to thank them, and you want to share the good word with them. But really, it happened from within yourself, and they were the catalyst. So I still have this crystal somewhere, I think. I don't know, I clean my room a lot. And I would like to not need it anymore, and I don't think I do. But I do have to pee. Man, I have to pee. And I'm more able to message Marina right now. Right now, I don't have any apprehensions to message her. I don't have any trauma. So I'm working through it. And, that's my Christmas gossip. Let's see how long we're at here. Let's see, I can't even tell. 55 minutes, maybe? It's hard to see. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you like my Tilly hat. I fucking love this hat. I think I look really good in this hat. Marina said I have a great model walk. I think that would be great if I could be a stripper. That would make us a lot of money. I told Marina, if we do webcamming, we can live anywhere in the world immediately. She was like, I'm already being streamed on the dark web. I don't want to do webcamming. I was like, that's cool. I'll just be a musician or a stripper or both. Or something else. Whatever. I'll find a way to make more money or whatever. We'll figure something out. If that's what happens. We're still in the gray zone, but she's still visiting as we're planning. We're in the gray zone, so who knows? But supposing she visits, which I'm planning on, I'm saving up for it. And so, I want to be as smart as possible and as healthy as possible so that I can be as independent as possible. Like, we need money, basically. But I don't care. Like, if she's like, I don't want to do webcamming, I'm not going to be like, please. No, I'll never bring it up again. I don't care. I completely don't care. And probably there's a lot better ways to make money. I mean, not that webcamming is cool, but webcamming should be like robbing banks. You never do it when you need the money. You only do it when it's for fun, when it's actually for the joy of it. Otherwise, there's something you might feel guilty about for it. You know, unless it's truly your purpose. Like, I think prostitution is a very needed work. I actually have respect for prostitutes and respect for strippers. Because of marriage. Because marriage makes poor people not allowed to have relationships. And it's a very compassionate job to be a stripper or a prostitute. You're saying, I care about the poor people too. They're not allowed to get married because they're poor. So therefore, I'm here. A wife sells it by the lifetime. A hooker sells it by the hour. A stripper sells it by the 5 minutes. Hey, you can't afford a whole lifetime? You can at least afford 5 minutes, right? Fuck you, Stu. You know, it's a very compassionate and needed work. And it's the reason why you have to do it is because of marriage. Because marriage is a cartel. Now, but, you know, whatever. There are... there are people who will get married even when they're poor, too. You know, there are exceptions. Okay, in general, marriage is a cartel. For me, the reason I'd get married is because it gives Marina and I dual citizenship. You know, it's not the same. If you're like, well, you want to get married. Yeah, but it's because I want to get dual citizenship. So it's not the same for me. For me, whether I love Marina and whether she loves me, that's the real key of our love. It's not that we have some binding contract that it's legally difficult to get out of and that prevents us from escaping. Most people, they marry the runner-up, and then when that doesn't work, they have kids just to cement the relationship even more because the love is not even there. And as the kid, you would probably subliminally know that. And you'd fucking hate your parents. And everyone does. No one ever forgives their parents. No parents ever forgive their kids. The kids never forgive their parents because the parents torture their kids to death with a clean conscience. And they say, I'm doing this for your good. And they never realize I'm doing this because I need to be needed. They never, ever, ever admit that. And the child knows that. And they say, you're acting like I should thank you that you wanted to have sex and not feel lonely. And that's why you had me. And now you fucking torture me to death. Telling me to thank you for it. Fuck you. That's what every kid thinks in their subconscious, and it goes throughout their entire life. And every parent hates their kid because they say, you were supposed to give me a purpose, and eventually you went out and got married, and your partner replaced me. Now you baby talk with your partner. Now you parent your partner, and your partner parents you, and it replaced me. And that's why parents hate their son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. So parents and kids never forgive each other. There's always a deep hatred between parents and their children. But that won't happen with someone like me. Even if I had kids, it wouldn't happen like that because I would never have kids unless it was actually right. And it's not right, so I have no need. I don't have the fucking tears saying, oh, I can't have kids. No, I have enough. I have love already. My son was my cat. The prodigal son, who's not my son, is Stuart. That gross, disgusting cat. He's a bad cat. I don't like him. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not dissociated. And, you know, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, you know.